But then I'll jump in and say some fun shit.
I'm Frankie. This is Cammy. We're the Parlay Busters.
All right, guys. For the first few fights, for the first prelims, Fight Pass prelims, and prelims on Fox, we're just going to run through the card quickly since we're both going to be giving our predictions, and then we'll elaborate a little more on the main event fights.
I just want to add that I made a bold prediction last week that Chris Weidman would win third round by submission.
What kind of submission?
I called guillotine, but arm triangle. It's close enough still. I got it. We had a big parlay buster because Kelvin Gastelum didn't come through thanks to that guy. But we're moving on to UFC 214. We lost about $1,000 each on a $25 to win 1,000. So let's start off UFC 214.
You can start with that one, Mr. Noah.
Let's say Josh Berkman and Drew Dauber. We're two different sides on this. Drew Dauber is going to get destroyed by Josh Berkman, in my opinion. Drew Dauber has had a terrible run in UFC, and he sees it completely differently.
Not completely.
Shelton versus Brooks.
Wait, let me jump in on this, bro.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Take me 2 seconds.
I'm moving forward.
Drew Dauber minus 340. I think the odds are way off on that. I do think Drew Dauber is going to win. Josh Berkman is washed up. He's old. He has a super hard time making the 155-pound weight cut. He's probably going to try to stall and keep that against the cage and win a boring decision. I think Drew Dauber is going to find his chin, but I wouldn't put that kind of money on it. I might parlay him up, but that's about it. Shelton, Brooks.
I got nothing on this fight.
Okay, Shelton. I put a small money on Shelton for a parlay. I think he's at plus 135 he was. He's at plus 125 now. Brooks was supposed to fight Ian McCall. Ian McCall, I think, dropped out of the fight for the
I don't think he shows up to his fights anymore.
Yeah, he gets sick or whatever happens. Brooks is a beast, good wrestler, big overhands. I think Shelton can use distance. I think he might win some of the grappling exchanges. He might get taken down a couple of times. I'm going to say he wins by split decision. Next.
Now, who is it? Curran versus Albu.
Albu hasn't fought in 27 months.
And Albu is 2-0 against Curran, who I believe is on a 4-4, but she's probably on a 3-fight skid.
You know what?
Oh, never mind. 6-0.
No, 6-0, but she's truly
2-0 in the UFC. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that's her actual record. It's kind of weird though.
I don't know.
It says she's 6-0, but it might be amateur fights or shit like that. Anyways, who do you have for that fight? I put Caitlin Curran on a parlay. She trains out of that gym with I don't remember the name of the gym, but where Michael Bisping, Lawrence Larkin, Chris Cyborg, where you have a bunch of beasts over there. I just think she needs to put it all together. She tends to quit in fights, gets submitted. So I'm guessing she did work on that. I hope at least. I had to find some value to add up to my parlay, so I put on a parlay, but I'm not confident about that fight at all. I'm going to say she wins by decision. She's on a 2-fight losing streak. She lost to Felice Herrig, who's a beast, and Jamie Mull, who's decent. She lost by unanimous.
I'm going to stay away from that fight.
No, you're not. You're going to copy my parlay.
I'm copying the parlay to be nice, but I'm staying away from it on my real parlay.
Anyways, next we got Andre Fili against Calvin Kattar. Andre Fili, we're going to go quick on that fight because I'm not even going to parlay him up. We got Andre Fili coming in at minus 375. Trains out of Team Alpha Male, so he's working on his takedown defense. Got good, long, rangy strikes. Calvin Kattar, decision machine coming into the UFC. I don't see him winning that fight. I think Andre Fili pieces him up on the feet using long strikes, kicks, and I think he'll probably end up taking him down. I'm going to say he wins by TKO in the first.
I'm going to just agree with him because I don't know too much about Calvin Kattar, and Andre Fili. He trains with good people. He's just been unlucky in his last fight. But
He won his last fight.
we'll see. No, I thought he lost his last fight.
No, he lost the fight against Rodriguez. His last fight he won against what's his name? That Brazilian dude. Hakron Diaz.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a beast. That was
Gotcha.
Man.
I think I can't remember that fight. It must have been not that memorable.
Yeah. I mean, look at the fight card.
Yeah.
Anyways, next we got Renato Moicano against Brian Ortega. You know who that guy is. You remember him? He beat Jeremy Stevens by decision, split decision. The guy's a decision machine too, at least in the UFC. I think he's got his last 2 fights were split decisions, I think. The guy is, yeah. He's got some submissions by rear naked choke, but his last 2 fights, dude. His last 2 fights by split decision against Jeremy Stevens. That's a pretty impressive win. He was kind of using rangy strikes, popping a lot of jabs and like 1-2s. He's a smart fighter. He's got a decent ground game. I parlayed Brian Ortega. I think it's kind of scary because Brian Ortega always loses the first 2 rounds pretty much, and he somehow always is able to come back in the third and win. He did it against
Clay Guida.
Clay Guida, and then what's that other guy's name? That little and Diego Brandao, and he also beat Thiago Alvarez in the third. So he always comes back and wins in the third. It's kind of scary. I could see Renato Moicano winning a decision if Brian Ortega stays too sleepy and comes on too late in the fight, but I went with him to get some value on my parlay. I think he'll win 3rd round TKO.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, you go on the next one. We're gonna have fun with that one.
All right, Mr. Sterling and Mr. Barao. I don't know what happened to Barao ever since the commissions had all these rules. He has no more gas in the tank. Like, he was roided up before he fought T.J. Dillashaw, and after T.J. Dillashaw, it just hasn't been the same. So I just see Aljamain Sterling picking him apart no matter what. Renan Barao has no chance. That's and I don't even like Sterling, so that's how I see that fight going down. Decision machines, by the way.
Yeah.
Decision machines.
Look at that. Aljamain Sterling, 2 split decisions, loss, and then won a decision against Augusto Mendes, who's kind of like he's a great grappler, but he doesn't really have any striking yet. At least he just came to the UFC recently. Anyways, so I'm going with Aljamain Sterling too. I think it's going to be kind of close on the feet, but Renan Barao has like 100% takedown defense or some shit like that. Like, he's super good on 97.44 takedown defense. That's pretty impressive. This fight is at 140. It's a catchweight bout because the commission wouldn't allow the fight for Barao to cut weight because of what's happened in the past with him. So I think it kind of plays in favor for him. He used to be a beast and destroy everyone. Now he's a boring fighter.
I just think he's a slow fighter now.
Yeah, he's slower and he has a hard time making the weight cut. And obviously he tries to fight smart now, mixing it up, going for takedowns and stuff. Because T.J. Dillashaw changed his life. So I'm going with Aljamain Sterling. I think he might be able to mix in some wrestling, win a couple grappling exchanges. I think he'll win by decision, probably 29-28, unanimous. Next, I think we disagree on that fight. We'll see.
Ricardo Lamas versus Jason Knight. This is like new school versus old school. Ricardo Lamas has got so many tools, but Jason Knight is on a little tear right now, and he's showing that he's tough. Maybe kind of weird. He reminds me of a tougher Cerrone. And he does go in there to bang, and Ricardo Lamas, I believe, if he can't find an answer to somebody's game plan, he shuts down. So I don't know Jason Knight too much. I believe I've seen his last 3 fights, and I've seen Ricardo Lamas's probably last 8 to 10 fights. That's a pure veteran versus a rookie. But Ricardo Lamas is at the top, and he's going nowhere. He's one of the best gatekeepers.
35 years old.
And I don't see Ricardo Lamas winning this fight. Jason Knight's going to come in and dominate and bump up a couple on the rank. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. I also parlayed Jason Knight. I think he's more aggressive. Ricardo Lamas is 35 years old. He's he's a very good gatekeeper. He's been in the top 5 for a while. I just think he's too old, and I just think that Jason Knight is too aggressive. And Ricardo Lamas tends to have a hard time against fighters that press him. I think he'll take Jason Knight a couple of times. But Jason Knight on the ground is a beast. He attacks constantly, submissions. He actually broke Chas Kelly's arm last time. Finished him in the 3rd. He just attacks constantly. So even if Ricardo Lamas takes him down, he's not going to be able to win a boring fight by just laying and praying. He's going to have to fight on the ground as well. Jason Knight also has a great stand-up game. He trains out of Alan Belch's gym. The guy just keeps coming forward the whole time, and he's got great strikes. I'm going to say he wins by decision. It's probably going to be... I could see Ricardo Lamas taking a round. I think Jason Knight either wins 3rd round, late TKO, or decision. We'll see. You want me to go first?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next we got... to start off the main card, we got a great fight. Jimmy Manawa against Volkan Oezdemir. I put Volkan Oezdemir on a parlay. Not confident. I just... plus 150 added extra value to my parlay. Jimmy Manawa is a beast. Knocked out Corey Anderson cold with a nice little check left hook. Put him to sleep. It was nasty. The only thing with Jimmy Manawa, I think he probably has the better striking. I think Volkan Oezdemir is super underrated. People keep sleeping on him. I actually had bet against him with Orvin Sanprou, and then for some reason he came in at like plus 350, remember, against Misha Cirkunov, and I don't know what happened. He like barely nicked him in the back of the neck, and Cirkunov went out. So either this guy has amazing power, or Misha Cirkunov has a non-existent chin. But anyways, these guys hit like trucks. Anything can happen. So which is why I parlayed him up. I do think Jimmy Manawa is probably more technical, but I'm kind of scared because he's like 35 years old. Volkan Oezdemir trains out of Henry Hooft, great striking coach. So I'm looking forward to that fight, but I think Volkan Oezdemir can definitely pull the upset. A lot of people are sleeping on him. Don't sleep on him.
Out of the 5 main event fights, this is probably going to be my 2nd favorite fight that I'm ready to watch. I really think I'm going to give it to Volkan, and I am jumping on his hype train just because if you go back and look at his record, he's no slouch, and he finishes people. I think he's finished his last 9 opponents, and I'm not sure if I agree with the ranking. Number 5, he just got into the UFC. This is going to be his 3rd fight.
There's no depth in that division.
That's true, but Jimmy Manawa is no slouch, but I believe he has been knocked out. I believe he got knocked out by Gustafsson. Did he? Gustafsson?
Yeah, and by Anthony Johnson.
Well, Anthony Johnson. Anybody gets in the ring with him is getting knocked out.
Except my boy.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. But I have to take Volkan on this, and I think I'd rather see him win. I'd rather see a future with Volkan than Jimmy Manawa. Because at the same time, like, what do you really get with Jimmy Manawa? Like, nothing, to be honest with you. So,
he's too old.
This
and
Volkan
he'll get
guy
destroyed by DC.
At 3rd fight, I believe in a year, right? 3rd fight?
No, he came in on short notice against OSP, remember?
When was that?
By split decision.
A year, 2017, February.
Twice.
So it's going to be his 3rd fight in a year.
He's active.
So, I'm going to take Volkan on this. And now we're going to move on to my favorite fight. And I'm scared of this fight because it's everybody talks about these mega fights and they think they're going to be the best fights on paper, and they all end up being the worst fights ever. I don't think that's the case for this fight. Robbie Lawler and Donald Cerrone. What's cool about these guys, because if one of them's losing, one of them's not going to go for a takedown. They're going to bang it out in the middle of the cage and may the softest chin lose. You know, it's going to be a dope fight. I believe Robbie Lawler takes this fight because Donald Cerrone, even though he's tough as nails, when he gets hit, he tucks his chin and he starts to guard himself more. But when Robbie gets hit, he just swings harder. Yeah. So I think Robbie's going to win that fight, and it's going to end in TKO.
All right. For this fight, obviously a fan favorite matchup. Robbie Lawler almost took a year out. I don't know if it's because he got knocked out cold by Tyron Woodley. There were some speculations that he was on some sort of performance-enhancing drugs and that the UFC hid him away. I'm not gonna say that.
People may think like, oh wait, why would you say that? Because USADA would get him. How come they never got Vitor? They hid him away, and how come the Brazilian fighters are really protected by the UFC?
Always
Don't know why.
In Brazil, different.
I mean, you're talking about differences, whatever. Quick facts. Diaz got suspended for a long time for marijuana. Kelvin got maybe a 6-month suspension. Romero got popped. I don't know where he was fighting when he got popped. Was it Brazil?
No.
Was it against Jacare?
It was in the U.S. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in the U.S.
Either way.
It was at UFC 194, I think.
Romero got popped. He got, 3 months suspension?
6 months.
Cyborg, discrepancy again, and she didn't get in trouble. So
Weird.
It's a weird thing. I think same thing kind of happened to Robbie. They kind of hid him away from people. It doesn't change a thing because it's not really a fact. It's all allegations. But I'm still taking Robbie no matter what.
All right, so I'm gonna finish up. By the way, at the end we'll put our parlay so you guys can take a look if you want to copy us. I mean, we usually out of the last like 7 fight cards, we came 1 fight away from making 1,000 each week.
Each
out
time.
of $25 parlays, which is like 5-6 fights. A heartbreaker every time. Last week, Gaston obviously sucks, especially because he told me to go with Whiteman.
I'm gonna put that clip at the end.
Anyways, so like I was saying, I think the thing with this fight is people are going to think that it's going to be an exciting fight. I think it might be a super tentative fight because both of these guys just got knocked out. So they might not want to get knocked out again. They might be tentative at first. That's just an opinion I'm going to throw out there. Donald Cerrone is susceptible to body shots. Always drinking, having fun. He looks like he was looking like a beast until he faced my boy Masvidal, which, by the way, I told you was going to destroy him because Donald Cerrone is susceptible to great boxers. Nate Diaz, Masvidal. Cerrone mixes in his grappling now and his wrestling. He's actually got some great takedowns, trains out of Jackson Wink. He probably trained with Jones, getting ready for that fight card. So he's going to be in great shape. He's always in great shape. Robbie Lawler, I don't know, man. He's a beast. He got knocked out by Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley has a lot of power. I'm going to go with Robbie Lawler. I just think he has too much heart, and I think Cerrone kind of tends to wilt when he gets hit to the body or something, and Robbie Lawler has got some good body kicks. Look for Cerrone to maybe mix in some takedowns, but I have Robbie Lawler by 2nd round TKO.
Oh,
We'll see.
it's brave.
It's super hard to call. It's a toss-up. Toss a coin, you're probably going to get as much luck as you will picking this fight. All right, next I'm going to start with this one. Chris Cyborg against Tonya Evinger. I'm not sure. I think it's Evinger or Evinger. She's the ex Invicta champ.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of footage. Obviously, with an underdog that big, I'm not putting money on her, but you could always try to give her a shot. She's a grinder. She keeps coming forward. She's got some decent takedowns. She likes to make fights really dirty. So does Chris Cyborg, though. And Chris Cyborg's a brawler, so that plays right into her game. Chris Cyborg is a beast. I don't even know, dude. I feel like this chick could destroy any guy, pretty much. So, I'm going to give it to Chris Cyborg, probably 2nd round, TKO. Tonya Evinger might surprise some people, though, if she tries to mix in some wrestling, tries to make it a dirty fight, but I don't think her chin's going to hold up. I think Chris Cyborg's going to have a flurry of punches and going to end up catching her and lights out.
I think this fight is actually hilarious because Chris Cyborg threw a temper tantrum. Dana White was like, oh man, she could beat me up, so strip the other girl of her title, and and let's just let her fight Tonya Evinger. Tonya Evinger is kind of interesting. I've seen her fight on Invicta on the UFC Fight Pass. She's kind of tough, but I believe the fights I've seen her fight in go the distance, and Cyborg's fights don't really go the distance.
5 rounds.
So
long time to go.
We'll see. I actually love super underdogs because a fight's a fight. no matter what anybody thinks. And as long as Tanya came in with the better game plan, then she could win. But on paper, Cyborg is going to win this. But if you are a betting person, stay away from it. It's not worth it. She's she's what, favorited, negative?
Cyborg's at like minus 1,100.
Yeah.
You could always take a little shot, but I mean, be careful.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Good luck.
You want to start with the other one? Woodley Maia.
Woodley.
That's a good fight.
Tyron Woodley. I don't like this guy. I think he's boring. And yeah, whoever's on the other side of the screen is going to be like, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I watch this shit for entertainment. And of course, the sports aspect, the mixed martial arts. But he's boring. He's absolutely boring. Oh yeah, he knocked out Robbie Lawler in the first round. That's great. That's cool. And he won that fight. But then when he went to go fight Wonder Boy, some of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life, they both should have ended in a draw. No way. I don't know what he was watching. They both should have ended in a draw. And I really hope Demian Maia can pull this off. And not because I actually want Woodley to lose, just because I believe Demian Maia has put in the work to get to where he's at today to finish it off with a title. And even if Demian Maia wins this, who fights him, really? Or who's next? Or can he even sell? Like, GSP, that would be a good one. I think that's what Dana said he wants, but
he said that today.
That's still a boring fight to me. Hate me for that. I can care less. My mom's basement is cool. Yeah, I'm going to take Demian Maia on that because I really want Woodley to lose. He thinks he's the greatest champ.
Wins, though?
Who do I think truly wins? Demian Maia. Demian Maia.
All right. I'm going to jump in on this one. I'm kind of starting to like Tyron Woodley just a little bit, but not that much yet. He said at the press conference today that when he gets put on main cards, he tends to steal the show, which I completely disagree.
That's so bad.
I totally disagree with what he said there.
Arrogant motherfucker is what I like to say.
He destroyed Robbie Lawler, but Robbie Lawler has been going through wars, so it was just a matter of time until these wars caught up to him. Then he fought Wonder Boy. I did think he won the first fight. He knocked him down, almost submitted him with a guillotine. Took him down in the first round, controlled him. So I do think he won the first fight. Second one was a toss-up. Second one was fucking boring as hell. I do feel bad for Tyron Woodley, though, because people call him boring, but he's being fed these super hard tactical matchup fights that are, like, super hard to deal with. First, you have to play with a technician like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson that's, like, will pick you apart from the outside, and if you get impatient, he'll just knock you out. And now he's being fed Demian Maia, who's probably the best grappler in the UFC, along with Verdum. Demian Maia really adapted his game around his grappling now. He doesn't even try to strike anymore. It's like, I actually thought that Masvidal won the fight. I'm a big Masvidal fan, so obviously I'm going to say that. But Demian Maia really revolves everything around his wrestling. He'll do anything to get you to the ground or to get you to try to grapple with him. I think Woodley is smart. I don't think he's going to play these tactics. He's going to stay on the outside. People are saying that it's a bad matchup for Maia because he's not going to be able to take him down. But think about this. Maia shoots for a takedown, doesn't get it, tries to go for your back. So it doesn't really count as takedowns. He just tries to grapple. He tries to find these ways to make you grapple him in a way. He'll shoot a weird outside single so that you go for a guillotine. And then when you go for the guillotine, you realize that it's too late. You're already on the ground with him. And he's on your back pretty much already. But I do think that Woodley has had a ton of time to prepare for this fight. And pretty much told Maia that he only had a month to prepare if he really wanted to fight and fight him at UFC 214. But that's kind of sneaky because Tyron Woodley has been preparing for months for this fight. He probably knew he was already going to fight him. I think Woodley is going to land a bomb. Maia could potentially get his back and submit him. I doubt it. I think Woodley's going to stay on the outside, stuff takedowns, play smart. But I do think Woodley's going to knock him out for a second round. We'll see. I like Demian Maia, so it's kind of sad too. But if he's old too, so this is probably his last run.
This is a great... Woodley's last two fights, obviously Stephen Thompson, were not good fights. Not to say like he didn't win them, but like they weren't entertaining. They didn't have an entertainment factor, which whatever anybody wants to say out
Fight
there,
of the night.
UFC needs entertaining fights in order to get people to draw, to get high ratings. Like if you go look back, and the Chris Weidman fight was the lowest rated ever pay-per-view. I hope Chris hears this one day. And this is the only thing I think that sucks for Tyron Woodley is he's entering another fight that's not going to be too much of an interesting fight, where it was just like it was the war of the century. Like Demian Maia doesn't throw punches, so Tyron Woodley's going to be doing a lot of evading, so he's not grappled by him. So you're going to see a lot of evading, no punches by Demian Maia, and it's going to leave Tyron Woodley with no answers. Not saying he's not going to win, because not to go back on my word, but on paper, Woodley's going to win the fight, but Demian Maia, I didn't expect him to submit Carlos Condit as fast as he did. Or who do you fight at before that?
Matt Brown.
He submitted Matt Brown also?
With one hand.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's an interesting fight, but I honestly, maybe money speaking, if I am going to make my own bet and not copy his, I would take Demian Maia.
Demian Maia is a good underdog.
Yeah.
Plus 165, that's good value. I'm not going to lie, but it's a scary fight. Once again, a lot of scary fights on this card. A lot of toss-ups. You want to go first with the main event, Cormier versus Jones. Fight we've been waiting for, I don't even know how many years now.
I haven't been waiting for it.
I personally dislike John Jones after everything he's done.
And what are you saying on the other side of the screen? Oh, put the personal bullshit aside. I actually do care. He's a piece of shit.
I like him as a fighter. I don't like him as a person. It doesn't take anything away from his skill set. I do. Obviously, on paper, he's going to win that fight. Everyone's saying he looked like shit against OSP. OSP is a bum now, by the way. An absolute bum. He did win every single round, I'm pretty sure. He won 50-45 all across the board, I'm pretty sure. So he did get tagged in that fight. He actually got the snot punched out of his nose. I don't know if you remember. It was kind of funny. But after such a long layoff, you never know what to expect. He said that the ring rust actually kind of got to him.
And now it's even more ring rust, to be honest with you.
A lot of people are sleeping on DC, and I don't know why. A lot of people hate DC's fighting style. They don't really appreciate how good he is. He has an iron chin. No one else gets hit by Anthony Johnson and stays in the fight. And he got hit in the first fight and in the second fight and ended up coming back on top, grinding him out, and obviously won. I saw DC at the press conference today. They were kind of going back and forth at one point. It was kind of funny. DC had a look in his eye like he wanted to murder Jones. Jones been talking a lot of shit. There's been a lot of back and forth with these two guys. DC, I think, has a fire under his ass, and I do think that he's going to come out to lose anymore, because he's getting closer to his 40s. The guy is not going to be a champ for much longer. He's probably going to retire soon. This is the fight he's been wanting for years. The rematch, super anticipated. I think that's the only thing he hasn't accomplished in the UFC. He did everything he wanted to, beat everyone. He just needs that fight, and I think he's fucking motivated. He's been training with some great kickboxers. Trains with Cain Velasquez, even though Cain Velasquez is always injured. But I do think he's gonna. I think it's gonna be a very close fight. By the way, in the first fight, a lot of people saying that Jones won 4 rounds. I gave DC 1. You could argue 2. So the fight was closer than people thought it was. It was a grueling affair. I do think DC is going to come out. He's been way more active, and people are saying he's not impressive, but he just doesn't stop coming forward. And it's going to be hard for Jones, I think, after coming back from such a long layoff. So I think DC takes it by decision. And I have him on a parlay as well. Good value on him. Obviously, if John Jones wins, I'm not going to be surprised. But
I don't think John Jones will win. I can actually guarantee he won't win. Off of ring rust and off of the caliber fighter that Daniel Cormier is. I'm actually not a fan of Daniel Cormier either, and it's more because he's arrogant. And when he had said that Johnson doesn't punch that hard, or when Johnson threw him across the ring with a punch, he said it didn't hurt that bad. I call bullshit all day long, but I get it. He's got to be the tough guy because everybody in his camp is injured, so he's like the big brother. But I cannot wait to see Daniel Cormier beat John Jones and John Jones have to eat all his words, and then awesome. Daniel Cormier at the end of the fight retire, because I don't think there's anything that can top this fight for him ever. I don't see a trilogy. I think he could have. I think Jones could have had a trilogy already, but Jones went and fucked that up plenty of times. And I think Daniel Cormier just wants to beat him once, and just that's it. That's it. But obviously UFC is going to throw a lot of money at him and maybe do a trilogy. But I don't see it happening. I think Cormier's putting enough emotions into this fight to just end it after this fight to see who really is the best.
It's been really
Because think about it. Who's Cormier going to fight next that's really going to sell pay-per-views? First of all, Dana White said he wouldn't even put Jones on the main event. He lied. Okay? Daniel Cormier said he wouldn't be on any other card unless he was under Connor's name. So this is what who can carry the pay-per-view card like John Jones and Cormier?
This is the biggest fight card of the year, by the way, guys. Amazing card.
It's pretty stacked. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty stacked.
Decision?
Cormier.
By what? Decision? Most likely, huh?
By boring decision, yes.
Nah, boy, it's going to be a good fight, I think. They're going to go at it.
No, we'll see.
Anyways, guys, to wrap it up, this is our first video. We tried to post a video last week. Unfortunately, it didn't go through. Our parlay was off by one fight.
And I did make a bold prediction, though. Chris Weidman to win in the third round.
Submission. He said guillotine. He's right. I'll give it to him. He wasn't right on the guillotine because he's a bum.
Whatever.
It fucking hurts because we had 5 fights, and he came all the way down to the main event to make 1,300, and Gastelum blew it for us after almost knocking out Chris, which I was on the verge of crying.
You know, to touch on that fight a little bit, I think Kelvin Gastelum could have done more, but he was too calm and collective, and I think he was waiting for Chris to get tired.
Yeah, and
but
it
I
never
knew
happened.
The size difference was only going to matter once they hit the ground, because it was like it was Daniel Cormier versus Dan Henderson again. It was just smothering him. It's a welterweight. Come on, guys. And for Chris to think he deserves a title shot, get the fuck out of here, dude. Go fight Jacare. That's a fight I want to see. Two guys who like to wrestle. If they can't figure it out on their feet, they drop to the ground. Jacare is dangerous on the ground, and good luck for Chris to hold him down. But Chris is a pussy, and he won't take that fight.
To finish up, guys, like I said, we were going to try to post that video last week. So this is the first actual week we're going to be posting a video on the page. It's called the Parlay Buster because of what's been happening to us. Always off one fight. That fucking Parlay Buster. So we're really trying to avoid that. We're going to put the parlays at the end of the video for you guys. If you guys want to see more videos, subscribe, like, comment, talk shit if you want. I think it's fun.
And we don't care what you say.
It's all good.
My mom's basement.
And it's not actually.
I jerk off 9 to 5.
It's not actually. He has a great apartment. Look at that, guys. Rich boy.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's the bum living.
Like, subscribe, comment, talk shit. Feel free to give us your picks, and
we'll have a new Instagram page soon.
Next week for UFC Fight Night 116 or some shit. Moreno Pettis. Peace.
Anthony Pettis?